my name is Daniel Kelly. I work for 3D360 Limited. I'm here with one of our bootcamp learners. If I could just ask for the purpose of the recording, if you could just introduce yourself and which area you are from.
Yeah, hi, my name's S.Spencer. I currently live in Northwich, so we're in the sort of Warrington, Cheshire area.
Lovely. So why did you decide to come onto our Skills Bootcamp training?
Well, I sort of, between me and a colleague, we'd invented a training aid for shooting, for training people with shotgun shooting. And I was looking at different ways of sort of how to make this this product, and we came up with 3D printing was probably the best way to do it. Never ever tried 3D printing, never seen a machine, didn't know what they looked like. So had a look around on the internet, and I think through a Facebook advert, I found 3D360 and a training course which was free, which was fantastic. And the fact that we got a printer at the end of it was even better. So I made contact. In fact, I came into the shop. I drove up and came into the shop, and I spoke to one of the owners.
Leo Paul with it.
I think it was Paul originally, and I showed him the idea, and he sort of said, "Yeah, it looks fantastic," and the boot camp would be the best way forward in the initial stages. So joined the boot camp, and then the rest of it is from there was fantastic, really.
Lovely. So just want to give a bit of sort of background on yourself. So I know you mentioned there shooting. I just want to give a bit of background, sort of, how you got into it, what you were sort of doing, training wise, I think you just mentioned. So if you just mind giving a bit of a background.
Yeah, so I'm a qualified shooting instructor. Association of Professional Shooting Instructors is the category that we sort of work under. I work at North Wales Shooting School full time now. Originally, at the time when I came on the course, I was employed as a coach driver at Manchester Airport, but it was always the idea that I was going to leave that and move on to the shooting side of things. So I've been qualified since 2014 as a shooting instructor, and worked from 2017 onwards at North Wales Shooting School. So I've been there for sort of 7, 8 years now. And then during that process, through teaching different people, came up with the idea of this sort of training aid. Tried lots of different things to use, just sort of making little bits and pieces up myself. And then suddenly one day came up with this idea of possibly 3D printing. The product itself. We started out with a few ideas, a few products, but since then we've reduced it down just to one, because we found that one did the same job as all of it. Obviously, it cuts down on our costs, and it just allows us to sell the one product for now.
Yeah.
So we tried lots of different ideas, different changing designs, and made it basically nice and soft so that people could handle the product and there was no rough edges on it. And it was through the sort of CAD design that we eventually got to the finished product. So we changed the size, the diameters, we changed a lot of things, but having a 3D printer made it so easy just to sort of make that design changes so much easier, because we were talking about little minute details that we changed just to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, I suppose is the way you'd look at it, to the point where we've arrived at the finished product now.
Wow.
We're still looking at 2 different types of resin. I know on the course we dealt with the PLA side of things, but we always intended to do this on a resin basis. But we got the information through the course for the resin printer as well. So we're just we're in the middle of two actual resins at the minute to see which is going to be the better of the two. It should have rolled out a lot further back in sort of 2024, but due to a serious illness, I had to sort of take a step back. And I'm sort of only just getting back into things now.
Right.
So 2025 is going to be the new 2024 effectively.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. So the product itself, is it what does the actual product do? And was it a complete gap in the market, or was there a product out there that already sort of did
No,
something similar?
I haven't found a product on the market yet that does a similar
Wow.
does the same thing. Sorry, there are different products out there that will do the thing, but this is just a basic. I call it the straw because
Okay.
basically it literally is. It's just a tube that sits on the
Yeah.
rib of a shotgun,
Yeah.
and it enables the shooter to align their head and eye against the stock, so they're looking straight down the barrel
Right.
of the
As
shotgun
opposed to
and through the shotgun, because head and eye alignments, if you're off slightly when it comes to shooting, then the gun is not pointing at where you're looking.
right.
So
Okay.
the straw effectively puts your head and eye in the right place, and so long as you practice and practice and get that muscle memory, then it's one less thing to worry about when you're actually out on the
Right.
shooting range and shooting at targets.
Okay. So you had the idea, the problem, I guess. You had
Yep.
the solution to that, and then you through the course brought that to life. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
brought it to life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Very
yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
So did you enjoy our course, and what was
yeah.
maybe the key
The,
things that you
the
took away from the course?
Yeah, so the course was great, and the first of it was, it the first 7 was online.
7 online
Yeah,
modules, yeah.
which made it so much easier because obviously we're not traveling backwards and forwards
Yeah.
somewhere. So the first 7 courses made it so much easier just to do them online, and it meant you could just sit at home and just watch and partake in the courses, and then at the end you had that little the questionnaire, the little test at
Yeah.
the end, which I think I got most right. So yeah, I was quite pleased with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it easy to do the 7 online, and then obviously the 3 days in the classroom was good because you got hands-on practice and you got to meet other people of the same who were doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Who were just starting out really with 3D printing.
Right.
So you got a lot of feedback as well from them as to
Yeah.
what they were doing and how they were approaching the sort of 3D printing side of things.
Yeah. Amazing. So
Mm.
if you had to choose one specific sort of part of the course, what would you say you enjoyed the most? What was sort of the key best part of the course for yourself?
I think the classroom side of it,
Yeah.
the sort of the CAD design, because that's something that I wasn't sort of au fait with. I was, it's something I'd never touched
Yeah.
before. And my friend who sort of helped me with this, he was a CAD design. He could use, I can't remember the one he's using now. It wasn't the 360 one.
No, it wasn't Fusion 360.
Wasn't Fusion 360. It was
Right.
another one. He
AutoCAD?
was No, it wasn't AutoCAD either. It'll come back to him. Maybe come
Yeah.
back to me. But all of it sort of worked in the same sort of processes. So
Yeah.
it gave me an idea when he was talking to me about what we were changing and how we were changing it. It
Yeah.
gave me an understanding of what he was doing, basically.
Right.
So I wasn't just looking and thinking, yeah, why, how, when.
Yeah.
It was a case of I knew what he was doing. So
Right.
we just sort of been able to crack on, and it gave me the confidence to actually ask him to make the changes
Right.
without it being too difficult, basically.
Lovely. So sort of moving on, sort of post course, if you will,
Hmm.
in terms of your development journey and your product development journey. How did you find that, in terms of what marketing channels did you use? Did you have any challenges, any lessons you might have learned sort of
Um,
after the course, maybe 3 months down the line, sort of?
yeah. So originally, when I finished the course, the idea was to go straight out and get the sort of the product out there as soon as
Yeah.
possible. And I have, in a sense, I've used my position at North Wales Shooting School and the people who I coach and train to sort of get product knowledge with that, and getting good feedback
Yeah.
from the people who are using it. So I've got the product feedback that I need. Some of it's still to come in writing through emails or sort of Google
Google reviews.
Yeah, Google reviews and stuff like that. So we're gradually getting that up. And as I said, due to a serious illness last year, it sort of had to put everything on hold
Right.
for sort of 6 to 8 months. So I've now gone out and bought a vehicle which is getting a sign written
Oh, wow.
for the product. So the whole thing is moving forward now
That's
at a
brilliant.
pace that will hopefully take it fully to market the first part of this year and onwards from there.
Wow.
So yeah, so if it hadn't have been for the illness, we probably would have been a lot further forward.
Yeah,
But you know, we are where we are.
definitely.
We've dealt with what we had to, and we're sort of getting forward now to hopefully get it out into the
Brilliant.
product, into the marketplace for people to sort of see. I've not had any bad reviews on it whatsoever. Everyone's that's used it has given me, you know, really, really good feedback,
Right.
and positive. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting out now and selling it.
Yeah. I know you just touched on it a bit there, but what are maybe sort of your visions for the future? Maybe sort of in terms of scaling the product, the business itself. Have you got any sort of plans maybe?
Yeah, so the product itself is only in the UK at the minute.
Yeah.
If we can find a way of getting that across the pond into the States, then obviously potentially the market out there is 1,000 times bigger.
Absolutely.
But we need to get the UK side of things first and get a lot more sort of product reviews and sort of detail as to see what and how we take it across the pond. You know, we
Right.
spoke to people about licensing the product into different areas, which is a you know another way of sort of getting it across. But that's all in the future. You know, we
Yeah,
need to sort of get the UK side of things sorted first
definitely.
before we sort of make our move
Yeah,
across there. So potentially it is a product that could be sold worldwide.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So,
Mm,
I mean, I must say it is extremely impressive. As I
mm,
said, you know, you've had the, you know, through your experience of being an instructor and through your general experience, you know, you found the problem,
mm.
you've created a solution, come on the course, use the skills gained to obviously turn that solution into a real life, tangible
Yeah.
product. And now looking at going global is just amazing.
Mm,
So,
mm.
in the position you're in now, sort of as a business owner, do you feel that your understanding of Industry 4 and advanced manufacturing would benefit UK business owners?
Yeah, definitely. Because it's not just about the 3D printing side of it. We're probably looking into the future to get it mass marketed. We're probably going to have to go with a different form of having that model done um, in a what's the word I'm looking for? You think you mentioned it before. Where um, the mold is made and it's made
Yeah,
um, through a mold. So the 3D printing side of it has given us the point of getting it to where it needs to be to make it perfect. And
yeah,
then I think if we're going to sell this to the amount of people that we need to sell it to,
yeah,
then it's probably going to have to be made with a mold and
right,
infusion, that side of it. So
yeah,
things are going to change a little bit differently depending on
definitely,
how well it's accepted
yeah,
out in the marketplace.
right,
Um, but the 3D elements of it, or the resin inside, it's given us that opportunity to be able to get the product to an exact position of where we need to be.
yeah,
And yeah, who knows what's out there in the future? You know, somebody might give me an idea of something else that needs looking at.
yeah,
And if I can take that on board and look through it from there, then again, I've got the skills now to be able to sort of look at different elements and print, you know, design and print stuff and just keep moving through till we get something again that's perfectly right for the
yeah,
job.
yeah. I know you speak there about maybe a mold. Have you thought about maybe sort of batch manufacturing using SLA potentially, or maybe some
Um,
different sort of avenues you can take? Because I know molds can be quite expensive.
can be expensive to get made at the start. Yeah, it's one of those processes we're just going to have to look. We can print. We've got three resin printers at the minute, so
Right.
we can print. You know, we can keep printing. The print at the minute takes about 4.5, 5 hours.
Is that how long
We
it takes
print.
to make
Yeah,
one?
yeah, to
Right.
make one. But we can fit. We've got one larger machine and 2 smaller ones. So we could probably, between the 3, we can probably print 20, about 50 over that
Right.
sort of 4.5 hour, 5 hour process. So, you know, at the minute we can probably handle any
demand.
sales just in house. But if it takes off and we require a lot more, then we're obviously going to have to rethink
Yeah.
the differences. And then again, you know, the likes of Paul and Lee, when I left, you know, they just said, just, you know, if there's any help that we can give after the course, then just come back and talk to us. And I think I've spoken to Paul and Lee on a couple of occasions, and the help that they've given me, and just the sort of other options that are out there have made it easy as well. Because, you know, you can go and search Google and the interweb for whatever you want, but sometimes if somebody knows where you need to be, then it makes it so much easier and less time consuming for me then.
100%, yeah. And, you know, just to reiterate what you're saying there, you know, if you do ever, especially, you know, if you want to sort of expand it and, you know, reach out to other markets, American markets, etc., you know, we're always here to give you a hand, you know, where we can, where you need that. That's amazing. So would you say sort of the course has helped you sort of maybe upskill yourself? And when you're speaking to sort of people about manufacturing and that sort of thing, do you feel like it's helped you, you know, maybe improve your knowledge?
Yeah, of course, because, you know, beforehand, if somebody was talking to me about, you know, resin printers or PLA is the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, PLA,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, I wouldn't have had a clue. I'd have just, you know, looked at them funny and said, you know, do you mind explaining in more detail? But now, listening, you know, being on the course, because it covered a lot of different areas in 3D printing, where it came from and where it's going to. So I think, yeah, the product knowledge now is more so I understand what people are talking about. So I can talk to them on a sort of more level playing field, rather than sitting there thinking I'll have to Google that when I go home. So yeah, so the benefits is just being able to speak to people and have an understanding of what they're talking about, rather than just, you know, looking sort of, you know, aimlessly in the air and thinking I'll Google it later.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Stephen. Just one more question before you get off. Would you recommend a skills bootcamp to other people?
Definitely, absolutely. In fact, I think I have told a couple of people already to get on and register and do the course. You know, because it's one of those skills that you never know when it'll come in handy.
Definitely.
You know, whether you've got a 3D printer or not, you know, you might have an idea that comes up, and you just need something to sort of to make a basic model of what you're thinking about, and from that basic model, you know, well, we found that, you know, sorry, excuse me a sec, dogs have gone mental. Let me just shut the door a bit, sec. Right, sorry about that.
No problem.
But yeah, definitely, you know, I would advise anybody to take the course and have those skills, because you never know when you'll need them.
Yeah. Well, it's brilliant how, you know, your journey from, as I say, problem, solution, making the product, and then commercializing it after the course is amazing. So thank you very much again.
Right, okay.
Appreciate your time. Best of luck in the future. I know you'll smash it. You'll do amazing. If you ever need a hand, don't hesitate to give us a call.
All right, will do.
Lovely. Thank you very much,
Thanks
Stephen.
very much for your time.
Thank you. See you
Cheers.
later.
Bye
Take
now.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.